MTN, Nigeria's largest telecom operator, one of the biggest in Africa, has been sanctioned by the Nigeria Communication Commission for poor phone services in the past week. So we talk now to Tony Ojobo, who's a director at the NCC, about this and the Commission's plans to enforce stricter regulations for poor quality service across all networks in Nigeria. Hi Tony, now MTN, you've asked them to explain and they haven't yet. Set out the problem for us.
Well, yes, a query was issued to the MTN, and that was yesterday. They were given 24 hours to respond to the query, so we're still expecting a response.
Now, what kind of query is it? How detailed is it? What kind of response do you expect? Is this a routine thing? It sounds as if you've got problems with all operators, so how important is it that they haven't responded, and how much detail do you expect, and what are the kinds of explanation they can give?
Well, during the Easter period, some areas in Lagos were disconnected from service. And then also last week, some parts of Lagos subscribers were not able to have access to services. They could not load their credit. They could not make calls. A particular switch in Lagos area was down. And we expected that MTN should have reported the situation to the regulator. We didn't get any report from MTN. And then also, MTN also did not explain to the subscribers that they were having challenges on the switch. So everybody was left in the dark until there was a deluge of complaints, and then the regulator had to step in.
What is the broad picture in Nigeria with the telecoms industry? I mean, I think in most countries there are sometimes complaints with the quality, with drop calls, with lack of capacity on the network, particularly at certain times of the day. What are the issues in Nigeria? Is there electricity, for example? It's the number of towers where the signals are broadcast from, efficiencies within the company. What do you find are the problems in the sector there?
Well, we have been having the quality of service issues for quite a while. And the service providers have attributed this to the challenges of power that we have. But that notwithstanding, we expect that over a period of time, we're looking at about 11 years of operation, that the service providers will have come to terms with some of these challenges and will have found creative ways of addressing the issue of power. The service providers have been declaring a lot of profit, and the consumers are saying, wait a minute, now if you are declaring this much profit and you're also saying that you have challenges with power, we expect that some of these monies that have been declared should be plowed back into the business in such a way that creatively the challenge will be addressed. You see, it's always difficult to explain to a customer that is not getting the right quality of service that he desires. And at the same time, you're seeing that the bottom line of the service provider is also increasing. So I think the service providers will need to find very creative ways of addressing the issue of power. The Nigerian consumers no longer want to take excuses of power as the reason for degraded quality of service. So we expect that there should be some creative ways of trying to address this issue.
It sounds like they should. It's a classic case of a company, if that's indeed what it's doing, bleeding the company and not serving the consumer as much as it should. What are the penalties? I mean, MTN is a big company, certainly on the continent. Is there enough competition for MTN? And if it persists, it hasn't answered your query yet, but it and the other suppliers, what are the penalties? What can you do as a commission to bring them up to the mark?
Well, the regulator, we have a set of quality of service guidelines. And there are also penalties that are provided in those guidelines. Where we see that the expected benchmark has not been met, the regulator will apply the sanctions. And the service providers, they are also familiar with the guidelines that have been provided. And they also know what the sanctions are where there is a breach in the expected quality of service benchmark that has been set.
So what happens next when they don't respond or they do respond with their query? Tony, what happens if they don't respond?
Sorry, excuse me.
I seem to have lost you there. Did you hear?
Excuse me there.
Well, I also have MTN.
Yes,
MTN not being singled out as the issue of poor quality of service cuts across networks. That's a quote from the president of the National Association of Telecom Subscribers, Mr. Diolo Ugonbanjo. He says he wants the NCC to beam its searchlight on all the operators. So are you beaming the light on all of them?
Yes, we are. The sanction, the query that was given to MTN was as a result of the incident in Lagos last week. Now, what happened was that I think the main switch had a problem, and service on MTN network in Lagos was down. Subscribers couldn't make calls on MTN network. They couldn't load their credit. They couldn't get calls. And the service provider, MTN, did not inform the customers that they were having a challenge on their network. Neither was the regulator informed that there was an issue until we began to get complaints from consumers in Lagos. And so the regulator felt that if there was a challenge on a particular network affecting loads and loads of consumers, the onus is on the particular network to make sure that the regulator is informed as quickly as possible. And then also they should make use of the media, the radio, the televisions, to announce to the consumers that we're having a problem with our switch, we're having some challenge, and we expect that we ask you to bear with us.
Okay, that was Tony Ojobo.
That is the reason why they were sanctioned.
Sorry there, Tony. It's a difficult line, bit of a delay there from Nigeria. Tony Ojobo, a director at the NCC, and I must say as well, I tried to get on to see things like market share in Nigeria with MTN, and I went to a site called MTN Nigeria, and it said site under maintenance, so one can see the frustrations.